Have you ever noticed how you can spend years trying to figure out what you want, yet the answers always feel blurry, distant, or strangely out of reach? You tell yourself that you should know by now, that adults are supposed to have direction, purpose, clarity, but inside you feel like an unfinished sentence. And the more you try to force an answer, the more it slips through your fingers. You wonder why the people around you seem so certain about their goals, their passions, their paths, while you float between possibilities that never fully become real. But here's the thing. The reason you don't know what you want isn't because you're lost. It's because a part of you learned to disconnect from yourself long before you ever had the chance to choose. And this is where it gets interesting, because when you start to look closely, you notice something you've ignored for years. Your confusion is not a flaw, it's a defense. You grew up learning what was expected of you. You learned what choices would make you likable, acceptable, responsible, successful. And slowly, quietly, you stopped hearing your own desires because you were too busy earning permission to exist. When you were young, your wants were real, loud, instinctive. But maybe someone taught you those wants were wrong, unrealistic, or selfish. Maybe your needs were dismissed, your preferences ignored, your feelings minimized. So your brain did what it had to do to survive. It buried what you wanted so you wouldn't feel the pain of wanting something you were never allowed to have. And now, as an adult, when you try to look inside yourself for answers, you find a locked room. But here's the truth. You're not empty. You're guarded. You didn't lose your identity. You protected it. And every time you feel unsure, every time you freeze when someone asks what you truly want, every time you chase something only to realize it wasn't yours to begin with, what you're feeling is the echo of a younger you who learned to silence themselves to stay safe. Imagine carrying a dimmed version of yourself for years. Imagine choosing goals that weren't yours, relationships that weren't aligned with you, habits that weren't born from desire but from fear. Imagine becoming so good at performing who you were supposed to be that you forgot who you actually are. That's why finding yourself feels terrifying, because deep down you know that the moment you choose what you truly want, you can't hide behind expectations anymore. You can't live on autopilot. You can't blame the path. You become responsible for your own life. But here's the thing. Feeling lost is not the opposite of knowing yourself. Feeling lost is the beginning. It means your old identity has stopped fitting and your real one is calling for you. And you can hear it in the moments when your chest feels tight for no reason, when you have everything yet feel nothing, when you stay awake at night, sensing that something needs to change even though you can't name it. You don't find yourself by thinking harder. You find yourself by listening differently. Because the real you doesn't shout, the real you whispers. It whispers in the things that drain you, the things that excite you, the things you pretend not to care about, the things you can't stop thinking about, the things you keep avoiding. It whispers in the tiny pang of jealousy you feel when someone lives the life you secretly want. It whispers in the heaviness you feel when you force yourself to be someone you're not. It whispers in the relief you feel when you imagine letting go of everything that was never truly yours. And here's the truth. You already know what kind of life would feel like home. You're just scared to admit it. You're scared because choosing what you want might disappoint someone. You're scared because wanting something makes you vulnerable to losing it. You're scared because the moment you choose your own path, you can no longer hide behind the excuse that you don't know what you want. But being scared doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're close. So how do you begin? You start small. You start by noticing what feels like truth inside your body. Not what sounds reasonable, not what sounds impressive, what feels like relief. Because your real self doesn't speak in logic, it speaks in softness, in resonance, in the click you feel when something aligns. And every small moment of alignment is a breadcrumb leading you back to yourself. You find yourself when you stop forcing certainty and start allowing curiosity. You find yourself when you stop chasing the life that looks good and start choosing the life that feels good. You find yourself when you stop asking, "What should I want?" and begin asking, "What feels like me?" The reason you don't know what you want is because you've never been given permission to want. But permission is something you can give yourself now. And the moment you do, the fog begins to lift. Not all at once, but slowly, gently, consistently. Until one day you wake up and realize you're no longer searching for yourself. You're becoming yourself. And that is the quiet miracle of this journey.